and welcome back to my channel where we are reading the Bible in a year. We are reading the entire Bible in a year. I got it right that time. And today we're on day 57. Welcome all of you. Today we will be covering Matthew 7, Exodus 37 through 38, and Proverbs 17. Let's all open our hearts and let's dive into today's reading. So, Matthew 7. Judging others. Do not judge so that you may not be judged. For when with the judgment you make, you will be judged, and the measure you give will all the measure you get. Why do you see the speck on your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? How can you say to your neighbors, let me take the speck out of your eye, while the log is in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. Profaning the holy. Do not give what is holy to dogs, and do not throw your pearls before swine, or they will trample them underfoot and turn and maul you. Ask, search, and knock. Ask, and it will be given to you. Search, and you will find. Knock, and the door shall be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and everyone who searches finds, and for everyone who knocks the door will be open. Is there anyone among you who, if your child asks for bread, will give a stone, or if a child asks for fish, will give a snake? If you then are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good things to those who ask him? All right, so this is talking about the hypocritical judgment, just being like, and we see it all the time, and I'm sure I've done it because I am, again, human, but like, people do things they wouldn't want done to them. And again, this fulfills their own fleshly needs or for pleasure. So I don't want to get into specifics, but I will do something I know I wouldn't want done to me. And a lot of times we'll say something like, oh, well, they did it. And I'm going into two different areas here, but they'll say they did it. But at the same time, when it is done to you, oh no. So, and I know someone closely who does this. They will call out someone else. Okay, when they came over here, they so-and-so, and they did not respect my space or whatever. But you do the same thing. You do the same thing. So, but when it happens to you, or they'll just call somebody out on their wrongdoing. You may be doing two different sins, but your sin, you gonna split hell wide open too, as well as this person. So you're doing this while they're doing that. And that is very hypocritical. So fix your own faults before you try to judge someone else. Or before you try to get on someone else about what they're doing. We have to examine our own hearts before pointing out others' faults. So just don't be, and it's just teaching you to not be quick to judge others because we have our own faults. So, verse 12, in everything do to others as you would have them do for you, for this is the law of the prophets. The narrow gate. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the road is easy. That leads to destruction, and there are many who take it. For the gate is narrow and the road is hard that leads to life, and there are few who find it. A tree and its fruit. Beware of false prophets, who come to you in the sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorns, or figs from thistle? In the same way, every good tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown in the fire. Thus you will know them by their fruits. Concerning self-deception. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. On that day, many of you say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many deeds of power in your name? Then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Go away from me, you evildoers. Hearers and doers. Everyone then who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like the wise man who builds his house on a rock. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat that house. But it did not fall, because it had been founded on a rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them will be like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell, and great was its fall. Now when Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority and not as their scribes. All right, so I went ahead and just finished the whole thing. Jesus says is talking about the narrow path. Enter through the narrow gate. He's talking about the narrow path, and basically the wider the gate, the easier it is to get through. The narrower it is, the harder it is to get through. Let's not look, and it's crazy that I was just thinking about this yesterday, about the paths that we take, and sometimes the bigger path is crowded. Everybody's going on that path, and that path is an easier way. But we need to take this. Even in Moses and his journey, when God led them in a different direction, they knew if they went the other way, they're going to meet these people, these other tribes, and they're going to run into them, and they're going to start worshiping their gods. Now that may really be easy, but it's going to lead to destruction. This path is harder, but it's going to lead to me and what I promised you. So that sums all of that up. Jesus is warning about false teachers and false prophets. That's starting at verse 15. We test teachings by their fruit. If they do not align with God's word, then that's not no. If that's not in the Bible, that's not it. Wise and foolish builders. He's comparing two builders, one who builds on rock and one who builds on sand. Sand is gritty and shaky. A rock is solid and a solid foundation. If we build on sand, something that's not sturdy, not a sturdy foundation, is sure going to fall over. Okay? But the person who built on a solid rock or stands on Jesus has a solid foundation and will not fall. All right. So we're going to go to I just wanted to do this real quick. Okay. So we are going to go to, where are we at? Exodus 37 through 38. I had to make a note there. Okay. All right. So 37 through 38. Stop wasting time for y'all. I lose y'all on this video because I'm not gonna edit that part out. Okay. Making the ark of the covenant, Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood, and it was 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. He overlaid it with pure gold inside and outside, and made a molding of gold around it. He cast for it 4 rings for its feet, and 2 rings on its side, and 2 rings on the other side. He made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold, and put the poles in the rings on the sides of the ark to carry the ark. He made a mercy seat of pure gold, and 1/2 of its length, and 1.5 cubits its width. He made 2 cherubim of hammered gold at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. He made them 1 cherub at one end, and then 1 cherub at the other end. One piece at the other end of one piece with the mercy seat, and he made the cherubim at its 2 ends. The cherubim spread out their wings above, overshadowing the mercy seat with their wings. They faced one another. The faces of the cherubim were turned toward the mercy seat, making the table for the bread of the presence. He also made the table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long and a cubit wide and a cubit and a half high. He overlaid it with pure gold and made a molding of gold around it. He made around it a rim of hand breadth wide. He made a molding of gold around the rim. He cast for it 4 rings of gold and fastened the rings of the 4 corners of its 4 legs. The rings that held the poles used for carrying the table were close to the rim. He made the poles of acacia wood to carry the table and overlaid them with gold. And he made the vessels of pure gold that were to be on the table, and its plates and its dishes for incense, and its bowls and flagons with which to pour drink offerings. Making the lampstand. He also made the lampstand of pure gold. The base of the shaft of the lampstand were made of hammered work, and its cups, its calyxes, its petals were of one piece of it. With it, there were 6 branches going out of the sides, 3 branches of the lampstand out of one side of it, and 3 branches of the lampstand out of the other side of it. 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with calyx and petals on one branch, and 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with calyx and petals on the other branch. So for 6 branches going out of the lampstand. On the lampstand itself, there were 4 cups shaped like almond blossoms, which with its calyxes and petals. Each with its calyxes and petals. There was a calyx of one piece with it under the first pair of branches, and the calyx of one piece with it under the next pair of branches, and the calyx of one piece with it under the last pair of branches. The calyxes and their branches were of one piece with it, and the whole of its one hammered piece of pure gold. He made it 7 lamps, and its snuffers and its trays of pure gold. He made it in all its utensils of talents and pure gold, making the altar of incense. He made an altar of incense of acacia wood, 1 cubit long, 1 cubit wide, and it was square and 2 cubits high, and its horns were of one piece with it. He overlaid it with pure gold, its top, its sides, all around its horns. He made for a molding of gold all around, and he made 2 golden rings for it under its molding on 2 opposite sides of it to hold the poles with which to carry it. And he made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold, making the anointing oil and the incense. He made the holy anointing oil also, and the pure fragrant incense blended as by the perfumer. All right, chapter 38, making the altar of burnt offering. He made the altar of burnt offering also of acacia wood, and it was 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. It was square and 3 cubits high. He made horns for it on its 4 corners. Its horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with bronze. He made all the utensils of the altar, the pots and the shovels and the basins and the forks and the fire pans and all its utensils made of bronze. He made for the altar a grating, a network of bronze under its ledge extending halfway down. He cast 4 rings on the 4 corners of the bronze gating to hold the poles. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze. And he put the poles through the rings of the sides of the altar to carry it with them. He made it hollow with boards. He made the basin of bronze and a stand of bronze and the mirrors and the women who served at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Dried cubits. He making the court of the tabernacle. I knew something was going on. He made the court for the south side of the hangings of the court were of fine twisted linen, 100 cubits long. Because I was like, dread cubits long. So I didn't see that the this was at the bottom. Its 20 pillars and their 20 bases were of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their bands were of silver. For the north side there were hangings of one cubits long. Its 20 pillars and the 20 bases were bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their bands were of silver. For the west side there were hangings of 50 cubits long, with 10 pillars, 10 bases, and the hooks of the pillars and their bands were of silver. And for the front of the front to the east 50 cubits. The hangings for one side of the gate were 15 cubits and 3 pillars and 3 bases. And so for the other side, on each side of the gate of the court were hangings of 50 cubits and 3 pillars and 3 bases. And all the hangings around the court were fine twisted linen. The bases for the pillars were bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their bands were of silver. The overlaying of their capitals was also of silver, and the pillars of the court were banded with silver. The screen for the entrance of the court was embroidered with needlework in blue, purple, and crimson yarns and fine twisted linen. It was 20 cubits long, and along the width of it 5 cubits high, corresponding to the hangings of the court. There were 4 pillars, 4 bases were of bronze, and their hooks of silver, and overlaying their capitals and their bands of silver. All the pegs were for the tabernacle and for the court all around were bronze. Materials of the tabernacle. These are the records of the tabernacle and the tabernacle of the covenant, which were drawn up by the commandment of Moses, the work of the Levites under the direction of the Ithamar son of the priest Aaron. Bezalel son of Uri son of Hur and the tribe of Judah made all the Lord had commanded Moses, and with him Oholiab son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, engraver, designer, embroiderer in purple, blue, and crimson yarns, and in fine linen. All the gold that was used for the work in the construction of the sanctuary, the gold from the offering was 29 talents and 730 shekels, measured by the sanctuary shekel. The silver from those of the congregation were counted was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, measured by the sanctuary shekel. A beka, a head, that is half a shekel, measured by the sanctuary shekel. For everyone who was counted in the census from 20 years old and upward, for 3,550 men. The 100 talents of silver were casting bases of the sanctuary, and the bases of the curtain, 100 bases of the 100 talents, a talent for a base of the 1,775 shekels. He made hooks for the pillars and overlaid their capitals and made bands for them. The bronze that was contributed was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. With it he made the basis for the entrance of the tent of meeting, and the bronze altar, and the bronze gating for it, and all the utensils of the altar. The bases all around the court, and the bases of the gate of the court, and all the pegs of the tabernacle, and all the pegs around the court. All right. So we're still making the tabernacle. All right. And so many verses for such intricate details, but that is what that discuss is pretty much about that. Let me see. I didn't really write anything about the shelter because basically it was still just a description of the tabernacle. Yeah, so they contributed to the building of the tabernacle. And we're on to Psalm 17, even though I read this yesterday, but you didn't hear it because I wasn't recording at the time, and it might have been while I wasn't recording because I was reading wrong anyway. So 17, better is a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. A slave who deals wisely with rule over a child who acts shamefully and will shame the inheritance as one of the family. The crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold. But the Lord tests the heart, and evildoer listens to wicked lips. And a liar gives heed to mischievous tongue. Those who mock the poor insult their maker, and those who are glad at calamity will not go unpunished. Grandchildren are the crown of the age, and the glory of children is their parents. Fine speech is not becoming to a fool. Still less is false speech to a ruler. A bribe is like a magic stone in the eyes of those who give in. Wherever they turn, they prosper. One who forgives in affront fosters friendship, but one who dwells on despises will alienate a friend. A rebuke strives deeper into discerning a person. I've been needing to write these verses down because they are highly important. Okay. Psalm 17:9. I don't know why I didn't write that down before. Okay, a rebuke strikes deeper into a discerning person than 100 blows into a fool. And then 17:10. Evil people seek only rebellion, but cruel messenger will be sent against them. Better to meet a she-bear robbed of its cubs than to confront a fool immersed in folly. That's crazy. Evil will not depart from the house of one who returns evil for good. The beginning of strife is like letting out water to stop before the quarrel breaks out. One who justifies the wicked and one who condemns the righteous are both alike an abomination to the Lord. Why should fools have a price in hand to buy wisdom when they have no mind to learn? A friend loves all times, and kinsfolk are born to share adversity. It's senseless to give a pledge to become surety for a neighbor. One who loves transgression loves strife, and one who builds a high threshold invites broken bones. The crooked of mind do not prosper, and the perverse of the tongue shall fall into calamity. The one who begets a fool gets trouble. The parent of a fool has no joy. A cheerful heart is a good medicine, but a downcast spirit dries up bones. The wicked accept a concealed bribe to pervert the ways of justice. The discerning person looks to wisdom, but the eyes of a fool to the ends of the earth. Foolish children are a grief to their father, and bitterness to her who bore them. To impose a fine on the innocent is not right, or to flog the noble for their integrity. One who spares woods is knowledgeable. One who is cool in spirit has understanding. That's another good one. Even fools who keep silent are considered wise. When they close their lips, they are deemed intelligent. All right, so verse 1, better a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. So basically, better a quiet house than a house full of calamity. So peace is more valuable than wealth. So you have a full house with all this calamity, and then you have a dry house with peace. So like they say, more money, more problems. That's a good one. I try to come up with things for a t-shirt line. Or whatever that I have an idea for. So verse 9. So it says, and I wrote that one down, whoever forgives an affront fosters friendship, but one who dwells on disputes will alienate a friend. So basically having grudges. So whoever with foster love covers an offense, but whoever repeats the matter separates close friends. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I probably think about, let me see. So, yeah. Forgiveness protects your relationship, but gossip destroys them. I'm guessing I was taking dwelling on a dispute as keep on arguing about it, and then talking about it. So talking about the dispute that you have with your friend or whatever is gossip. But I guess now looking at it, to me, it's more on dwelling on what that person did to you and tearing that friendship down than giving them grace, because one day you're going to need it. So with forgiveness, that's, I don't know. And then verse 22, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a downcast spirit dries up the bones. Honey, if a person with this spirit on them, with the old dry hate, just mean spirit, just a dry spirit, honey, they will just suck all the fun out the room. You can just feel like the energy just being sucked out of the room. And a person with a light spirit, oh my gosh, they just bring you just want to be around them. The atmosphere is good. So yeah, that's a very important verse too. 17:22. I mean, I didn't write it. I wrote it down on there, but I didn't write it down. So basically, how is your attitude? We have to think about that. So that wraps up day 57. Excuse me, I am just a bit tired. Just a little bit tired. But yeah, judging rightly. Let's keep in mind, like, to judge rightly, the careful construction of the tabernacle and all those little intricate details that they did not want to leave out. Wisdom on relationships, friendships, and speech. How you talk to people. So you have to know how to talk to people. All right, but that wraps up today's lesson, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 58. All right, be blessed and farewell.